Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Explode Your Expert Business Show. Today, I'm here with the brand and communication director of ClickMeeting, Agnes Józwiak. How you doing, guys, Agnes?
I'm very well. I'm very glad to be here, Simone. So very, very good.
A lovely
Thank you.
jumper, very flowery, very flowery on the
It's still
jumper.
winter back here, so
Is
yeah,
Where are you calling from?
unfortunate.
Where are you calling from?
It's I'm calling from Gdansk in Poland, so going towards winter, towards spring now, but still in the winter. So
Yeah.
jumpers are all necessary.
Jumpers are all nice. They're pretty
Yeah.
cold, pretty cold. Out here in London, it's been actually pretty good. We had a great week. It was really interesting because we went from -2, which for you is like summer in Poland, probably. I was like,
Absolutely.
then we went to +15, going again on like 2, 3 degrees. So it's been a couple of weeks, but we're not here to
Roller
talk.
coaster, yeah.
Yeah, we're not here to talk about the weather. We are here to talk about something way more interesting, which is
Absolutely.
webinars. Webinars.
Yeah.
So before we get into webinars and how to use them in their best way, I would love to ask you, Agnes, a bit more about your background. How did you end up working with ClickMeeting and becoming passionate about marketing?
So I started off my business career back in London when I did
Oh,
my university degree, etc., etc.
which uni? Which uni did you do in London?
City University,
Where were you living?
King George V, based on DLR East London. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
So,
cool.
so I was there for about 6 years, and then going into my professional career into advertising agency, going through PR agencies, etc. Then I was finishing off my projects, deciding to go back to Poland, and then I sort of found this exciting opportunity to work with a company that built different software. At that time, it was GetResponse for email marketing,
Yeah.
and ClickMeeting was still in development. But it was an exciting opportunity. And then when I was offered to run marketing for ClickMeeting, the webinar platform at that time, I was very excited because it was starting everything from the beginning, from building different touch points, the product, being involved in the product and building its brand, the communication for the brand and the product itself. Because obviously at that time it was a team of 7
Wow.
when we started off, but it came off from an application that we needed to communicate different offices back in Canada and here back in Poland, and we thought there are different applications that are useful, but for the purpose of collaboration, purpose of very effective online communication, we need something more. So we built ClickMeeting for our own purposes, and then we thought, hey, there are many companies like ours
Yep,
that need
yep.
support in online communication, so let's just get it out there. And this is how it started, pretty much.
That's how the best stories always start. It's like, I need it for me so badly. Oh, actually, this is pretty good. Other people might need that too. Let's
Yeah,
give it to other
yeah.
people.
Yeah, yeah. So
Brilliant.
nine years later, I'm still with ClickMeeting, and I've been saying to all people I ever recruit, I've been here for 9 years, and there is no single day that is the same. So every single day brings something exciting, and yeah, it gives you the opportunity to be part of the product that support people in their daily business activities.
Yeah, I mean, as I was sharing with you before, ClickMeeting was the very first webinar platform I used when I ran my very first webinar 6 years ago. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And I have to thank you because I didn't have the money to pay to do the upgrades and all the other stuff, and I started with the free version
Hmm.
of a ClickMeeting that was available, and that was great for me to start, getting out there and learning how this webinar world works. So I know that now there have been many changes since I used it 6 years ago to
Yeah.
now. So
Yeah.
let's explore a bit what's available on the platform for ClickMeeting, because there are a lot of people that are listening here that are running webinars or are interested in running webinars. So let's see what's available in the platform, and then we're going to discuss what are some of the best practices in which we can
Sure.
run webinars.
Absolutely. So just back to the history a little bit.
Yeah.
I remember when we were starting off with ClickMeeting, and then it was all about audio and video. And then we came to the point that, okay, we need to have this feature. And, we were building up with the features. And obviously everything based on customer feedback, what people are sort of expecting us to deliver. Because, and, first couple of years, we were sort of gathering loads of feedback.
Yeah.
And we're working closely with some of our customers in terms of what's needed for business to actually run effective online communication with audio and video, just remote working and stuff. So back then, the ecosystem and customers' needs were totally and absolutely different to what we have now, because obviously we do have at the moment what we have is Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and then coming into LinkedIn Live events. So we have to come across that as well and make it work. Like,
Yeah.
be it a competitor or make it work together. People want to. When we build a product, when we sort of thinking about what our customers need, obviously based on their opinion on the feedback, we improving the product. But people want to save money. People want to run their business effectively. They want to communicate effectively. They want to earn money finally, increase their revenue. So we have to make sure that our product meets that need.
Yep.
So obviously, last year was sort of one of our biggest year in terms of features. We introduced on-demand webinars, when you can record your webinar and then distribute it as an on-demand content for further purposes of distribution, promotion, and building customer retention and a lead building base. Then we introduced paid webinars features, when organizers can charge for their attendees to access their webinars. And last year, one of our clients charged $450 per ticket for their webinar, earning $43,000 for one webinar.
Sweet.
I know.
Now you're talking my language.
So this is what people expect. People, they know, they've got their knowledge, they've got their expertise. They want to monetize it. So the application, the software has to give it a chance. Then obviously Facebook and YouTube Live, we were getting loads of questions in terms of, okay, why do I need applications like ClickMeeting when I've got Facebook and YouTube Live? Of course, you may say that, I've got Facebook Live, that's enough. But what about statistics? What about the sort of lead nurturing and all that, moderation of chats, surveys, and all that? But then if you comply it with ClickMeeting, with Facebook and YouTube Live, then you're expanding your reach. So you are in different channels. So it's all about that, being in one place and streaming to many.
Absolutely. And so you have the feature as well, if you are going live on ClickMeeting, that automatically gets shared on Facebook and YouTube Live. You have that feature as well? Oh,
You
that's
choose
brilliant.
it Facebook or YouTube. It doesn't allow it to do it sort of simultaneously. But then if you can run your webinar from ClickMeeting and then stream it to Facebook.
Absolutely love it. And in fact, as you're saying, the more places you are in, then the better it is. But I teach a lot of webinars. I do a lot of webinars myself. I teach people how to do webinars as well. And one of the things that, this is one of the questions that people ask me as well, why should I invest in a webinar platform instead of just using what's available for free with YouTube Live and Facebook? Is about a context which is different as well. I mean, when you are in a webinar platform, you have no other distraction around you. Everything is focused on you and the actions to take on the webinar. You know, when you are on Facebook, you have the notification of your friends popping up. When you are on your YouTube, you have the notification of the new video that is going down. You have the other recommended video on the side. You have someone sends you a messenger on Facebook, and so now you're stopping the recording of what you're watching to answer to your friend, and suddenly you find yourself out of that webinar. So I think there is a purpose for YouTube Live or Facebook Live, but for conversion, you need the attention first.
Absolutely. And engagement. You have to engage with people.
Exactly.
If you're not engaged in the webinar as an organizer, as a host, then you cannot expect your attendees, your audience to be engaged as well.
Yeah, don't be boring. Guys, please.
Content is something different, because content is the is a pain in terms of okay, there are different barriers in terms of running webinars, because you may be perfect in going like public speeches offline, but then when it comes to webinar, you have to, you've got chat, you've got survey to run, you've got YouTube video to show it. Obviously it requires loads of coordination from you, plus the barrier of being in front of camera and seeing yourself. And then the hard thing is that you don't see reaction of people. So you don't see how they, on the other side, react to your content, to your presentation. So it's very, very important to engage them, to make them collaborate in terms of in different whiteboards, chats, polls and surveys, tests, etc., etc. So yeah,
absolutely.
It's powerful. But it's powerful.
Absolutely, it's a new skill. It's a new skill to learn. I remember when I started, because I came from the event space, so I was running a lot of events and always been on stage. And then from there, I said, okay, let me start doing the webinar, and is a complete different energy that you're bringing to the table. Actually, you need to be even more over the top because people can leave that webinar with a click of a button. So if you're boring as hell, people are not gonna stay. You can have the best content in the world, but you're not engaging and you're not getting people to comment, to respond, to click on the service and so on. Then people are just gonna get bored and leave and find something more interesting to do. So become interesting on camera. But then it's a muscle, it's a skill. You do your first one, you do your second one, you do your third one.
And you're becoming a star.
And then you're becoming a star. Absolutely. Then you become like Agnes here, right? So
I'm not a star. No, definitely not.
Absolutely you are. So make sure.
If you think about it, there's, I do apologize. There are plenty of content. So what I noticed, over those years, because we're running our own webinars as well, the demo webinars getting started for all as an onboarding process. Then we do it as a part of retention and prospecting as well, and lead nurturing. We do webinars with influencers, with people who've been there, done that, and they know how to do it, and inspire our customers.
Yeah.
And I remember back in a couple of years back when we were organizing the webinar, we had a couple of thousand registrants and 40% turn up rate from those from those registrants. And now
good old days. The good old days.
Absolutely. Well, it's about 15%, and it's still good. But yeah, what we do now is, obviously there are plenty of webinars. If you want to attend all those interesting webinars, you wouldn't do anything else.
Yeah.
So what we do is that obviously we record each webinar, and then we encourage people to register to get recording. So a pretty clear a message: register to get a recording. And obviously people use the chance to attend webinar to participate in live Q&A sessions because they're
Yes.
priceless.
Yes, I agree with you. I agree with you. We have, I think, it's increased the number of people watching replays, and less the number of people watching live webinars. But people that are in live webinars, then they are way more engaged. And also, you can use the live webinars as an opportunity to answer questions, do Q&A sessions, something that someone is missing out if they are just watching the replay, for example, where they don't have actually the chance to ask a question in person. Now, in terms of curiosity, do you also have the possibility to do kind of hybrid webinars,
Which
where
is
which is you play a video of the webinar and you are there interacting in the chat with the different participants? Is it something that you recommend doing, that you don't recommend doing? What's your take on that?
Well, it's a solution, and obviously it all goes towards automation, automating your business, automating communication, being still authentic and being yourself. But we are working on automated webinars where you'll have a possibility to put your webinar into scenario and put it on autoplay, and then but still being able to interact on chat. So
Yeah.
that's if you're sort of one man company and you don't have, because what we normally do is there is a host, a presenter, and there's an interaction here, so and they don't look at the chat. There's
Yes.
a dedicated person that sort of collaborate on chat, and we normally recommend that have someone on chat to moderate it, to respond to messages, and then put all interesting questions into the Q&A, because there is an easy way to just drag and drop a question to
So
to
cool.
main view for the presenter to be able to answer the question at any time of the webinar. But now giving the possibility to put your webinar on a scenario was like first presentation and record the video of you presenting and then putting it into live webinar, and then but still you as a moderator of chat, that's something that's in development right now.
Yeah,
But
that's cool.
like I said, but people, we used to have email marketing. Now we've got marketing automation. We used to have webinars. Then webinar automation will come to play as well. I believe so.
Absolutely, is a industry which is consistently evolving, and
Very
I,
dynamic.
I like also for people to test both things, because something that I found really useful in business is actually to do the opposite of the trends. For example, where everyone is going towards automation, I would add more personal touch. Or where everyone is going to do more online, I will do more events. If someone is doing more events, I will do more stuff online, because it means there are more people available in that other media. So and this is about testing and finding out then from these practices what works with you and your audience. So you might want to start a webinar and do a series of webinars that are live, and then do a series of webinars that are automated, and then see
Absolutely.
which ones then they are converting the most, and knowing that doing automated webinar, you will have a lower conversion than a live webinar generally, but at the same time you are not there delivering it. It just takes less time from you. So
Yeah, but absolutely. It depends what purpose of webinar you're running as well. We've got groups of customers that are sort of specific into sort of live demos, and they've got a
yes.
product that they gather their customer, and it's a particular sales webinar. So they aim to sell the most by selling their product online. But then obviously if you want to retain your customers, you have to feed them with with great content, which is webinar, of course. So there's no sort of one size fits all. So you have to see yourself. If you're planning to engage in webinars, you have to see what works for you, what doesn't. I remember what we did when we were launching ClickMeeting. We invited we organized a press conference for different bloggers, influencers, and people from press, and we did it on ClickMeeting, and it was 2011, so it was ages ago if you think about that, but it worked out great. Now it's nothing innovative, to be honest.
Yeah, now it's like, really? It's like, that's what people do now.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's trying in, trying out. So I believe webinars are hard, but very, very exciting and very effective.
So let's look at making those hard webinar a bit easier. So in terms of your experience, what are the do's and don'ts right now in 2019 for webinars? So what are the things you should focus on and the things you should avoid based on the data or the statistics that you have?
Do's and don'ts. It's very it depends really from the perspective of what webinar you're running, and obviously if you doing sort of a lead nurturing, the content for the webinar would look differently. But you have to. The fact is, you cannot jump into a webinar and think it will be successful. You have to prepare for it. But you'll be surprised, but we had many people doing it's like, I jumped on a webinar, it didn't work, so I'm not going to do it again. Preparation, content, promotion. What we normally do, we start promoting our webinar with influencers, experts from the field, about 3 weeks before it happens. So we use.
So you give yourself a good lead time for the promotion.
Absolutely. Just for the promo campaign to sort of propagate and people being able to see it, and plan it as well, because that's also important, and for you to be able to sort of see it and promote it. But also, what's very important is that having that distinction between what your content is and what you're trying to achieve and who you're talking to, and make that work together, because it has to. Otherwise, people will get bored and leave the webinar room. Also, I remember when we used to do our state of webinars, which we did, in fact, this year as well. Last week we launched it, but I remember a couple of years back when there was sort of selected best day to run a webinar. It was always Wednesday or Thursday. Now it really, every single day is good, as long as your content is engaging and is authentic, and it has that personal touch, as you mentioned before. Also, in terms of times of webinar, you have to distinct that people do have work, because I remember once we did webinar at 11 a.m. I was like, okay, it's not even a lunchtime almost, but still people are at work, so they might not be able to attend. And the recording of webinar was just coming live. So, but now you have to bear in mind that people work, people travel, and obviously giving that flexibility that they can listen to the webinar while they drive. It's also a big opportunity as well. But I guess that and make sure your webinar is engaging. Make sure you share your expertise and not just think that you're sharing your expertise. You have to be honest. You have to be authentic for people to buy it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love what you said about don't expect that the first webinar will be successful. It might happen. Never know. I had the clients that their first webinar were successful, and I have clients that the first webinar were not successful. Myself, it took me 15 webinars before I made my first sale. 15 bloody freaking webinars, and it shows the power of persistence, because I
Yeah.
knew it was something that works, and a lot of people, they say, oh well, it works for others but it doesn't work for me. Well, it doesn't work for you because you are not good as the others. So that's why.
Absolutely.
So what do? You become, you train, and that's and then from there I always made sales every single webinar I did, or have an incredibly high retention rate, because I've learned how to be more engaging, how to be funnier, how to get the people interested, not only in the content, or creating the right balance of content, because I'm sure
Yeah.
that you've seen those webinars where it's like, oh my God, there is too much, and the speaker is speaking at 5,000 miles an hour, and you don't really understand what they're doing. They're just flicking slide to slide to slide, and doesn't give you the opportunity actually to absorb the content and to
Yeah.
ask that question if you want to ask that
That's very
question.
important. Yeah.
So very powerful, very powerful. I love this
Yeah,
interview,
so if
Agnes.
you think about that, I remember when we started off ClickMeeting and doing any marketing activities. When we were starting off, we had no data at all, so it was just picking different marketing activities. Okay, we know that we are a webinar product, and then we were matching activities and see if it works, if not. Same here. You have to work out yourself if this form of communication, this form of selling yourself, your expertise, your product works for you. And it works. Because there are statistics that proves that, but you just need to work out the best way to
Yeah.
sell yours.
Absolutely, I agree with you. And also, you might, if not everyone wants to use webinars to sell, like you might use other ways to sell and get your customer retention, and getting people attending your webinars, maybe from your online courses that you're launching. So these are different ways in which you can use webinars. They're not only just sales webinar for conversion, but there is education, there is retention, as you mentioned earlier. So
It's a process. It's a process.
it's absolutely a process. So Agnes, I love this interview. Now we are no doing the last part of the show, and this is called lifting the veil. Now,
Oh my God.
oh my God, what is
Oh my
that?
God.
Oh
I
my
was not
God,
prepared for this.
I was not prepared for this. Surprise, surprise. So we are lifting the veil, Agnes, and is a part of the show where I ask every guest to share an app or a tool or a book or something that makes your life or business easier. Something that you're using maybe daily or every now and then. What is that for you? Do you have something in mind?
Ah, I'm very inspired by Simon Sinek and his
Yeah.
speeches. So if I'm losing my how, why, and everything, I'm always going back to Simon, and it helps me a lot, and it's very inspirational. So
Do you have any favorite book, or you just mainly watch the online video content, or?
uh, uh, starting with why,
Yeah.
sort of that I've got it in my next to my bed, and it sort of doesn't leave my bookshelf.
Yeah, great book. Absolutely recommend you to read or listen. Start with Why, Simon Sinek. We'll put the links in the resources. So
Good.
amazing, amazing resource. I had the privilege to do an event in London, which was featuring Simon Sinek.
Ah,
Absolutely.
jealous now.
Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. All right, guys. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for being on the show. Agnes, you've been absolutely amazing here. If people want to reach out to you and get in touch or try ClickMeeting to see how they can use it in their business, what's the best way?
Well, our URL to our service is clickmeeting.com, but I very much encourage to visit our blog. When recently we sort of released the State of Webinar 2019 as an infographic that includes plenty of very useful facts about webinars, webinar industry, and online meetings. So
Brilliant. So
feel invited. Feel invited.
get on the website, and do you still have do you have a free trial for the platform,
Absolutely,
or
30 days, free trial. So sign up on clickmeeting.com.
Yeah, I highly recommend you guys. It's a great way to, if you never used it, to get out there. If you've never done a webinar before, and then you can test your content, you can test your material, and also if you have been running webinars as well, you can try different platforms. I love to test different things to see, okay, what's new in this platform, what's new in the other one. So definitely give it a go. Agnes, thank you very much for being on the show. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thank you for being a great host.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening or watching. Make sure you subscribe right now so you don't miss any other amazing episode like the one that we had today with Agnes. And also leave us a review. Let us know what did you enjoy the most about this show. Leaving us a review there on iTunes. And if you send me the screenshot of the review at simone@gtex.org.uk, I'll send you something special. Woohoo! All right, lucky you.
Exciting.
Exciting. All right, so it's all from me and Agnes. And always remember that together we grow exponentially. Bye for now.